Fight! Clash of Champs. Download free.
I mean, honestly, the fight itself is what's important to me. It doesn't really matter where it's at. But I get a chance to be here, closer to home, where my fans can come out and see me, and that means a lot. Because I got a lot of people coming. I purchased, over 100 tickets for fans and family members. And that's just the ones that I purchased. I got a lot of people coming in that they purchased their own tickets. It's been a long time. Last time I was here was in 2012, And previous to that, another 2-3 years prior to that. So I haven't had a chance to be out here. Fought in New York, Texas, and that's great because that also, expanded my fan base. But it is nice to be here because it's closer where people can come and see me live, and I get to perform in front of them. When I saw certain fights just, coming up, and I'm like, man, I could do that. I could be in there. That could be me. Of course, you have that little bit of fire starting to light up again. But at the time, I was still enjoying myself. I was coming to Vegas to watch the fights and not worry about training, not worry about, dieting or anything like that. I'm taking my kids to vacation. I'm enjoying the holidays and birthdays, and I'm having a good time. But right at the time that litigation was finally over, I'm like, okay, now it's time to get to business. There's a lot out there that I still got to accomplish. A lot of money that I could be making that I don't make unless I'm boxing. I could still have a lot more for my family through boxing. I could, set up my kids. I could set up my family for the rest of their lives through boxing. That's why I need boxing. That's why I'm here.
Was it easier to train, get back in the training? Because you said the training part was so
it's training is the same for me for camp, same. But now I'm enjoying it more than when I was. It was getting boring at that time. It was getting 4 weeks in camp and I'm already bored. And I still got 4 more weeks. It was getting too boring. Now I'm enjoying this camp. Went like that, super quick. I got Rafa staying with me, who's my compadre. I know him since high school. My nephew Pita, who's assistant trainer and camp manager there. I got Frank, who's a friend of mine, who's cooking for me. All comedy. If you see any of Ellie's videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. Great atmosphere.
Sorry guys, we can Frank already recording already. Lo que va a entrar aquí. Dile que se apague.
Al otro. What's he doing, Mike? He's spying. Frank, what are you doing? Look, with Lomachenko, a lot of the media, a lot of the fans right away compare and kind of pre-match or fantasy matchup, Well, what if the only one to give him a challenge would be Mikey? Well, he's at 130, I'm at 35. If he decides to move up to 35 and they're willing to work, I'm willing to fight. However, you got to look at the politics and business. He's with my former promoter. I don't hear any of them mentioning my name. I don't hear anybody in their camp or promotion or management mentioning my name. I'm not going to go and call for him. I don't need him. If anything, he's going to need me at 135. I don't need him. I'm going after the guys that are already there, established, with a big resume, or even a weight class above. Right now, if he moves up and we're there, send me an offer or let's talk. We can do that. I'm willing to fight him. I think that would be a fucking good-ass fight because people want to see something like that. But unless you hear directly from them, I really can't be calling for him and wishing that we fight because it just makes me look kind of silly. I got my goals in my division right now. I even offered negotiations with them. I offered them 5-fight deals with optional 6 fights, and they shut everything down. They believe, like I said, I think their strategy was to, in a way, starve me out, wait until I had no other means to sustain myself, family, and no income, and then I was forced. And I get that. I really believe that because right before I offered to buy myself out, they made one attempt just to throw it out there, they asked if I would be willing to fight for the vacant WBO title that Crawford had just vacated. Now I knew that it was still under their old 2009 agreement terms, meaning that if I held the title, that extends for another 5 fights or 3 years. And the purse that they offered was less than what I made for my first title fight. They offered $150,000 for that fight. Now, right away, I kind of figured, okay, if they're talking about that, because it wasn't even a legitimate offer, it was just something that they threw at me if I was something that I would entertain. I didn't even answer them. I figured if I answer them with $500,000, they're gonna try to negotiate for 200 or 225, 250, but they got me. Now for another 3 years, 5 fights at a cheap price. They didn't have to pay anything up front. All they did was pay me $250 and that's it. You're locked in. I didn't even answer them. Because one, like I said, it wasn't even an offer. It was just something that they threw out there. But that was a way of them to testing me and finding out how much I was really hurting, how much really was I in need of money. I think that was their attempt, just to see if I really needed it. But when I didn't answer them, I showed them I wasn't hurting. I was fine. 2.5 years without work, without fighting, and I was still living very comfortable, still bought on houses and doing money, and I did well. Like I said, I don't need boxing, but there's a lot more than boxing has to offer. That's why I'm here. I don't know what happened with Nicholas Walton. I know he was off for a long time. I don't know exactly what happened. I can't comment on that. The thing is, okay, I don't know how they work in UFC. I've never dealt with them. But from what I hear, a lot of these fighters are getting smart. They're opening their eyes. And they're starting to question. And now they're demanding that they get a fair shake. I don't make all the money. I know the promoters have to make money. But when they just don't show you what's out there, and they don't want to show you what's available, how can you make a fair analysis and a fair decision on how much you should be getting paid? If they tell you it's only X amount of money that's available for you and you take it, well, it's your fault. And that was my fault for taking what I took, and that's it. But what's not fair is that they don't show you what's available. And they're supposed to show you. By law, they're supposed to show you. Yet they don't show you. They keep you in the dark. They only show you what they want to show you. And then when you find out that there's so much more money available, that's when you start questioning. And that's what's happening probably in the UFC. Some of these fighters are starting to read and hear and find out the true numbers. What's being generated. It's easy. You make two of the greatest careers, highest paid athletes, boxing fighters, Floyd and Manny. And yet, look at the size, the gap difference in paychecks. When they're both selling 1 million pay-per-view buys, 900,000 pay-per-view buys with the right guys, each one's checks. Look at the checks and look at the difference. Something's not right. One's doing it right, the other one's not. One's getting the right deal, but the other one isn't. Where's the rest of the money going? I'm willing to just speak on what I went through, and in fact, that was part of the agreement with my former promoter. They wanted confidentiality where I couldn't speak anything, and I told them no. In order for us to sign this release, I need to have freedom to speak on my behalf on what I went through, freely. And they wouldn't sign that till the day before court, and they finally signed it. But that's why I'm able to speak freely on what I went through. I can't speak on what others go through or guide them or teach them anything, because, like I said, I can't take that conflict of interest. It could be, management disputes, and I'm involved or I'm getting in the way of business. But if anybody asks for an opinion, I can speak on my own.